All right, we're here for our December 1st version of the Wait for It Seattle podcast. Sorry, I just paused because I think there's a Taylor Swift song called December something.
I think it's
Um,
just called December,
December?
maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, are you still full from your Thanksgiving uh plate of food? Plates of food?
I
Since
had this is a sneak preview of our top five later, but I had the most amazing Thanksgiving meal. It was
I'm o
so good.
I'm only saying that because you're wearing a shirt or sweater that says Super Deli Mart.
Yeah, they're a free sponsor. That's a convenience store right by my house that sells sandwiches and beer.
Oh, are the sandwiches good?
Yeah, they're good. Super Deli
Okay.
Mart's kind of famous. Like it's a great place for beer you can't get at other places, and
Yeah.
they have a sandwich called the Cheesy British. It's just loads of meat. They're great. They're awesome. They've changed owners like three times since I've been here.
Yeah.
The best ownership they had was when they knew me by first name. That's when I felt really good.
Oh,
But
that was my dream when I was on
yeah,
parental leave was to become a regular somewhere. And I've had
yeah.
this running dream for the longest time, like maybe show up to a bar every day and like become a regular where they just pour your beer without saying anything and they just like look at you.
Have you
No,
ever
it's
watched Cheers from the
uh
1980s?
no.
That's the whole premise of Cheers. It was a great
Yeah.
show in the 80s. Ted Danson,
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson was in it, Kirstie Alley for a while, Shelley Long. Anyway, the whole theme song is about
Yeah.
no everybody knows your name.
I mean, the closest I got to being a regular somewhere was probably in college. Have you ever been a regular somewhere, like
No,
a
I feel
coffee
your
shop?
vibe for sure.
Yeah,
Like I would like that as well. I
yeah,
I have different times had it sort of.
yeah,
But this was the one that felt the best was at Super Deli Mart when they used to
yeah,
just know my name. It was great. I mean, I think the guy who owned it name was Brian also, so that was part of it.
yeah. Well,
So
I think
anyway,
the
that's a good
yeah,
segue. My
yeah.
name is Brian. This is Kevin
And I'm Kevin, and we're talking about Super Deli Mart.
in Seattle
Um,
sports, baby. It's
talk,
episode 26,
yeah.
the Zach Charbonnet episode.
He had a couple nice runs. He had a couple
Uh,
super runs, in
I got a
fact.
hot take for you later about Zach Charbonnet that I'll probably forget. This is what I do. I lead in and like I tease and then
Yeah,
I forget to say anything.
yeah.
But that's fine.
So we're two weeks in a row we're doing our 3 points.
Yep.
Um, we'll start out with point number one. The Sounders lose to the
Mm.
Galaxy. I watched the entire second half after. Actually, I don't know if it was in the entire second half, but it did feel like it because I turned off the Husky game at one.
Oh yeah.
I watched till the very end. I'm like one of
Yep.
those fans,
The
but
second half was better than the first half. The first
yeah,
half, the Sounders, I mean, they fit their strategy. They can't score
yeah,
with any sort of, I mean, they obviously they can sort of score, but they're not an attacking team. So they have the best defense in the MLS and they park the bus is what, soccer people call it, or they have a low block. They basically put everyone behind the ball and they take away your limiting options. LA Galaxy are very explosive, and it was working. And it was working in the second half, I think. The Sounders, Taylor Twellman, who's the color commentator, was like, Sounders look better all the way up until the goal. He was like, oh boy,
yeah.
just one terrible mistake, which is the problem when you can't score with any regularity and you're not an attacking team. You have to win like 1-0. And so if Alex Roldan does Alex Roldan things, which is makes a silly pass, they lose the game. So there you go.
Do you feel like that this season they performed above expectations? And are you happy with how that's a follow-up
Yeah.
question. Are you
Oh,
happy
I
with
know
how
what you
they
mean.
performed?
Yeah, so it's weird. I think in terms of where they got the Western Conference final, it's probably at or above expectations, but how they played on the field is below.
Yeah.
Like they were so boring. They even
Yeah.
said it. Christian
Yeah.
Roldan was like basically said after the game, we were boring. So
We were
that
boring during that game or just in general?
just in general, they don't have enough
Yeah.
attacking options. So I looked some stuff up. They had expected goals is what they use often in soccer because so much fluky stuff happens. they had expected goals of 49 in the season, whereas LAFC, who they beat in the last round, had 59. The Galaxy, who they lost to, had 63. Even Portland, who wasn't very good, had 54. So everybody, they're the middle of the pack type of team in terms of scoring,
Yeah,
but they have players who should be able to go score. So it
yeah,
just didn't come together in a way that was very exciting. And Schmetzer's awesome. I mean, that's the thing. He figured out a way to go as far as they could go, but it was so boring to watch. Like they're a really boring team.
yeah,
So, I mean, their defense was the best in the league. They were awesome. So it's like watching, I don't know. I don't even know if it's the equivalent. I was thinking of like that Ravens team with Trent Dilfer that won the
yeah. Like,
Super Bowl.
yeah, yeah. When you think of like at least before Legion of Boom, like elite defenses, like Ray Lewis,
Yeah.
who's a safety, Ed
Ed
Reed.
Reed. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, but the Seahawks Legion of Boom, the defense is amazing, but Russ and Marshawn like were great.
yeah,
So even though that defense was great, they had Percy Harvin. People forget how exciting he was when he
yeah,
played.
yep, yep.
That Ravens team was really like
Just defense.
just pretty boring on offense, and that's how I feel like the Sounders were.
Yeah,
And if you like defensive soccer, sure, but who likes defensive soccer? I think even soccer people don't like defensive soccer. So
yeah. I mean, another equivalent would be like these Big Ten teams that just run the ball.
yes,
Very
Iowa
boring.
last
Like,
year.
yeah,
Oh
or
my
like
God.
Michigan, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
just
yeah.
no.
Yeah. So they have some stuff they got to figure out. Like Rui Diaz seems like he's gone, one of the greatest Sounders ever. Leo Chu, came from Brazil and was exciting, got benched at the end of the year. He seems like he's going to be gone. I even wonder if João Paulo, who's also one of the best Sounders midfielders ever, will be gone. I don't know. They're going to have a different team, I would hope. And they need to be more exciting. I almost would rather than be like LAFC, who was so fun to watch
Yeah,
and not get as far, but at least when you turn it on, you have
yeah,
something entertaining. I mean, it's the point of sports is to be
yeah.
entertained. So,
You know what was not fun to watch?
no, tell me, Kev.
Demond Williams gets sacked every two plays on Saturday night. And that happened
Yeah,
before the Sounders fell.
yep. Point two.
Um, yeah, point two. Uh, it this game felt different than Iowa, felt different than Indiana
Hmm.
because legitimately, like, no matter how hard I could trick myself into thinking, I didn't think that they were going to win this game. I didn't think that they'd cover. Um,
18 and
and
a half, I think, is what it was.
yeah,
It
I'd have
finished
to
at.
look back at my predictions, which, by the way, I've been doing these predictions, week by week,
Yep.
and against the spread is like I'm like close to 500. It is really hard.
Yeah, it is hard. You
I
know
need
who's
to like,
above 500 on their picks in the NFL? Me. Although I cop out and don't do it every week because
yeah.
I get busy.
See, I was pretty consistent with mine. Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't think I picked the game this week.
Nice
Wow,
work.
did I just chicken
You
out?
copped out. Yeah. I didn't think there was any chance they're going to win, but
Yeah.
six and six is right in line with what I thought this team would be at the beginning of the year. Um, Once we got to this week, I just kept thinking about how funny it would be if the Huskies did somehow win
Yeah, yeah, that's
because
all I could think of.
yeah,
There's no way. Yeah.
there's no way they were. And
Yeah.
Oregon and Dan Lanning being
Yeah.
what he was 0-4, 0-3
Yeah.
against the Huskies and
Yeah.
like number one in the country. I mean, it's a bad place for Oregon because there's nothing they could have done
Yeah.
to like make them be better slash really piss Husky fans off. Like it would have been so much better for Oregon to beat them last year when
Yeah.
the Huskies had expectations or the Pac-12 title game or something like that.
Yeah.
This year
It-
it's like, yeah, you're number one, dude. Like you
yeah.
should crush the Huskies.
Yeah.
The Huskies are not good.
They're in a rebuilding year. Well,
Yeah.
some of the post-game quotes that I enjoy, Dan Lanning said, I go to bed every night thinking about them, UW, and I wake up every morning thinking about them. So it's nice to be able to think about a win too. And then one of the standout defensive players, I'm going to forget his name, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to say it, but he said that in the weight room, they had rolling highlights of the Huskies beating them for motivation.
Yeah.
So I kind of love that too, right? Because
Yep.
they, as much as the Huskies thought about beating Oregon three times, it definitely went the other way as well. So I'm interested to see where these two teams are next year. I don't know what Oregon's going to look like. Kind of have a better idea of what UW's going to look like, but yeah, I agree with you. I think I'd want to play back our discussion, but you were totally right on. Like, we don't know what to expect. Like, even Will Rogers is pretty damn good for like half the season, and then like the latter
Yeah.
half, he just kind of fell off. And I think
Yeah.
that was a huge key in not being able to. His play, his kind of like mediocre play, never got them to win games that they shouldn't have won. They like lost. It felt like they lost every game they were supposed to lose, except maybe Rutgers and maybe
Yeah.
Wazoo. Rutgers, I
Yep.
feel like is the game where they. I feel like this is more of a 7-5 team than it's a 6-6 team. I don't know if there's a big difference between that, but because of the
Yeah.
Rutgers loss.
I don't. Yeah, they're such a tricky team. I mean, if you look at the reality of it, as much as we want to make fun of Dan Lanning, which want to do at every possible moment, the fact that he said that quote is hilarious to me. Like he's such a fake dude to me. I don't know how
Yeah,
else to say it. Like he
yeah,
just his viral video clips that are so practiced and rehearsed. Like I don't know. I just there's something about Dan Lanning I don't like. But to be clear, I'm not a huge Jed Fish fan, as I've told you, right?
yeah,
So they lost to Oregon and Wazoo. Like that's a bad year rivalry rise, right?
yeah,
Now, to your other point, like Oregon's gonna be way better than UW next year. I'm sorry, Kev.
yeah,
Oregon's got big time recruits coming in. They have an awesome class. They're gonna find a quarterback. I think the difference between the two teams is massive. Um, I think UW is in trouble next year. Like, I don't want to. I'm gonna make you so sad, but
Are
they
you
got
looking at that Ohio State game?
well, they got to go to the Cougs, right? So they
Yeah.
lost to them this year. They have Colorado State at home, who's like a tricky team to
Hmm.
open the year. They go at Michigan. They go to Wisconsin, and then they have Oregon, Ohio State, and Illinois all at home. I just think they could be a team that doesn't go to a bowl game next year, and that would suck because it feels like
Yeah.
6-6 was kind of like, okay, you pulled it off. Let's build momentum. I hope I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. I
Um,
think my only point of view that I'd add there is things things are good when the tough teams are at home. You're usually able to pull one of those out. I've usually seen them pull one of those out. I
yeah,
mean, this year they beat number 10 Michigan, right? Like, Michigan's not that good. Who knows who's coaching Ohio State next year? There's a bunch of things where we have no idea. Uh, Michael Penix, like, I think the transfer portal,
yeah,
and, I agree with you. If the roster stays the same as it is and everyone develops, like, they could be mediocre next year, and that's probably like the most likely outcome. Anything could happen with the transfer portal.
yep.
Literally, like the Huskies were in down in the dumps, and Penix and DeBoer come in and rip off like an insane 2-year run. Not
That's
that
true.
that's going to
Yeah,
happen,
yeah.
but a transfer, a good transfer portal impact player could be a win difference. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, they need to shore up the line, and that's
Yeah.
going to be a big difference with the Oregon's, Ohio States, the
Yeah, and I
Illinois,
don't
the
think you could
Michigans.
do that over the offense over the portal.
It's going to
I
be
don't think you
trouble. I
can.
mean,
Yeah.
they gave up 10 sacks to the
Mhm.
Ducks. That's insane. Damon Williams, who I kind of am in love with, but he was 17 of 20, which you're like, this is incredible for a freshman.
Yeah.
But he played like a freshman. Like he didn't know when to throw the ball away. So he
Yeah.
took 10 sacks, which is partly the line and partly his inexperience, which is fine. Like
Yeah.
take it. But Jonah Williams, Jonah Coleman had 11 carries for 3 yards.
Yeah, he had a
Like
tough
that's a
day.
line issue.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other part I see in the show notes is like they gave up 226 yards to the Ducks, but like that's not even surprising. I mean, they gave
Right.
up that much to Indiana,
Yep.
Iowa, Penn State. Like those teams were able to just kind of just kill them. Like it wasn't
Manhandled. Yeah,
Yeah, it
manhandled at
was
the line
not
of
a
scrimmage.
secret how to beat the Huskies. Like,
Yep.
just run the ball, and then you'll control possession. You'll get some 3-and-outs. Like, and I don't even know how much of that is like Belichick's fault because the offense at some point needs to produce, right? Like the defense can only hold so many times. And I do think that like depth was an issue down the stretch too. Like guys were just getting tired. There weren't really second line guys that could really kind of carry this team at the very end. Like I think the defense got way
Yeah.
worse like the last 3, 4, 5 games. So
I mean, partly it's who they played too, right? When you
yeah,
go play Penn State and you go play Indiana and you go play Oregon, you're gonna look
yeah,
worse. Like,
yeah,
so I think that's what I worry about for next year. It's like you're gonna go at Michigan, you're gonna play Ohio State and Oregon at home. You're at
yeah,
Wisconsin. I don't know. The Big Ten's really hard. So
yep,
shocker. I guess at least they don't play Penn State next year.
yeah,
So
yeah.
and they don't have to go play Iowa, who manhandled them. But we have a long time to figure out what the Husky roster looks like. But hey, I'll say it. Congrats to the Ducks. I can't wait to watch you lose in the college football playoff.
And it's harder for them to win the whole thing, right? They have to win.
Oh yeah.
They
They're
have
not
one
doing it.
bye, so they have to win 2 games, right?
They're not going to do it.
Yeah, they have to win 2 games.
They're going to
Okay.
lose to Penn State in the Big
Yeah.
Ten championship. I'm going to tell you right now. Penn State's going to win that game. Oregon's going to then drop into the first round. They'll win that one, and then they'll lose in the next round of the college football playoff. That's what
All
I'm telling
right,
you.
book it. Book
Yep.
it.
I think the Georgia Bulldogs are going to win the national championship.
Which is kind of funny because they kind of suck. Like they kind of like
Yeah, they're
look
not really
bad.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who? I mean, Texas is the best team,
Yeah.
or Oregon's second best, and
Yeah.
then everybody else, it's like, who knows?
It kills me because this is not just Seattle people saying this, but people have been saying like 2023 Michigan and Washington would run all of these all of these teams.
Yeah,
I don't know how true that is, but like it's kind of nice to hear that from people that aren't Husky fans.
it would be kind of
Um,
sweet though if Texas and Oregon played, and then Sark beat Oregon
yeah,
to win
yeah,
the national championship. I'd be down with that,
yeah,
but Oregon's gonna lose before that. So sorry, Ducks. Enjoy it. All
yeah.
right, point three. Let's go to
Point
a
three.
positive, baby.
I thought they were gonna lose. I thought the Seahawks were gonna. Did you think that you watched the whole game? Did you think that they were gonna lose?
Oh, Kev, they should have lost. Kev, they were they were down 14-7. They just scored. They kicked off. The guy
Yeah,
returned it to the house. It's
yeah,
21-7.
yeah,
Kickoff to the Seahawks. Fumble, right? So they fumble the kickoff. Jets get it. This game's over. They're at the like 7 yard line or 6 yard line or whatever they are. Nine
yeah.
yard line. And then Big Cat Leonard Williams on a great call by Mike McDonald. He runs a blitz package where Leonard Williams drops into
Drops.
coverage
Yeah,
and then he hits the ball into the air, picks it off, and runs it back. I mean, it was
yeah,
incredible. They miss the extra point or it gets blocked. It's 21-13. At that point, I'm like, maybe. And then all of a sudden, like, Rodgers looked like Rodgers, which is a bad thing for Jets fans.
yeah,
He was what do I have in there? He was 21 of 39. Like that's terrible.
yeah.
The Jets post-game show, I saw this clip. Willie Colon, I think he was an offensive lineman in the NFL for a while. He does like post-game analysis, and he was ripping Rodgers for being selfish, for being what did he say? Like basically like he's condescending towards his teammates and everybody else, which we all know to be true. Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers is an awful, awful, awful teammate. Like I don't care what anyone says. He's a terrible teammate. I won't comment on who he is as a person. Not a fan, but he's a terrible teammate. He blames everybody else. They asked him after the game. He said, well, there's 11 guys on the field. I certainly made mistakes, but we got a lot of other people that need to do stuff. I'm like, dude,
You're the
you suck.
quarterback.
You're 21 of
Yeah,
39. Leonard Williams picked you off. Um, he couldn't complete a pass when it mattered.
yeah,
It was awesome. So once they started going that way, I don't know, even when they had 8 yards, 8 plays from the 1 yard line, the Seahawks, and didn't score a touchdown, even at
yeah.
that point, I thought, I think they're going to win. So it's a yes and no. At first, I was like, they're going to get blown out. This is bad. And then when Leonard Williams made that play, it all turned, obviously.
Leonard Williams has been playing football in the NFL since 2015.
Yeah.
To me, by NFL standards, that means he's like old.
Yeah.
In the last 2 weeks, he's looked so freaking
It's so
good.
good.
He's
So good.
made plays. He's like been hard to stop at the line. Like he's gotten in the backfield. I'm trying to think of other dudes that were really old, like by their standards, and just like were playing in their prime. And I don't know how long this run of him playing insanely well will last.
Yeah.
Um, but he's playing he's playing awesome. He's fun to
Well,
watch.
I think like JJ Watt would be an example. Like he
Yeah.
was incredible, but JJ Watt would do this like every week.
Yeah.
This is 2 weeks for Leonard Williams. Although I wrote about him before these 2 weeks saying we should appreciate him, and then he went off. So he
Yeah.
was great.
They're giving him the oxygen, at the end.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I was like,
And then he
that's
had to come
awesome.
back on the field because they obviously kicked off after that and
Yeah.
they had to go play defense. But special teams are a mess. But defense, they only gave up 169 yards passing to Rodgers. They had 2 sacks, both by Leonard Williams, 6 quarterback hits, a fumble recovery and interception, and gave up only 89 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Part
And
of it's the Jets. Like, they're stupid.
it's kind of like the first 3 games of the year. Like, I hate to put
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers in that bucket, but he played like he belonged in that
Yeah.
bucket, and maybe he is in the bucket now, right? Of like bad
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
Yeah. But beating
So,
the Niners on the road, Arizona at home, and the Jets on the road at a 10 a.m. game where the Jets are up 21-7 and at your 9 yard line is a
yeah.
nice stretch.
Yeah.
So they're 7-5. They have a game lead on Arizona, and obviously every week is huge. I was kind of projecting it out with the Niners losing, the Rams winning, and the Cardinals losing. So Rams and Cards are 6-6. I still fear the Niners, even though it looks like McCaffrey might be out again. They're 5-7. I feel like the Niners have a possibility of getting to 9 wins, which is crazy. But looking at their schedule, and they play the Rams, so whoever wins the Rams Niners is kind of your threat. I feel like the Hawks need to be at 10-6 going into the Rams game the last week to
Yeah.
feel comfortable, which
Yeah.
means they got to win next week. Then they got to split Vikings Packers at home, and then they got to beat the Bears on the road. So that gives them to 10-6 with the Rams last week. I feel like it's still going to be a must win because if the Rams are at 9 and the Rams already beat you, you still have to win that last
Yeah.
game. So
Yep.
it's
Makes
going to come
sense. You have
down to
to
the
win your
last week of the
conference.
year.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to the last week of the year against the Rams, which is terrifying because Sean McVay's awesome and
Yeah. Yep.
um, but good for the Seahawks. Unfortunately, I think Kenneth Walker needs to be replaced by Zach Charbonnet. How about that? There's my hot take. I remembered it.
That's not too. Yeah, I guess it's kind of hot.
So I wrote about this in the takeaways. Kenneth Walker the third by Pro Football Focus is ranked the highest grade of any running back in the NFL. That includes Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. That's stupid. Like stupid good and also stupid. Like
Yeah.
uh watching him today, 16 carries for 49 yards. I don't think he's hitting the hole like he did at the start of the year where he was so explosive. And I don't know if he's nervous about the line or if he's banged up or what, but their line can't block well enough for like creative runs, for lack of a better term. So I kind of feel like just give it to Charbonnet and have him run into people, like, and just see if he can get 4 yards.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Charbonnet looked better today in his few carries. I don't know.
Walker to me, and this is not this is just watching the game and not
Mm.
watching it, but it feels like he runs horizontal a lot
Yeah,
because he wants to break for the big one, and sometimes you just need to just be content with the 3 to 4 yard run.
totally. And early in the year, he would do that, but also when he would cut back, it would be so quick and he would just explode.
Yeah.
Now I feel like he's constantly watching and waiting in a bad way. Like
Yeah.
he just hit the hole and went, and he's not trusting it or something's happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if they can fix it. I doubt it. It's gonna have to be Geno time all the time. So, um,
Yeah.
so
So
crazy
Seahawks.
enough. So
Those are our
Seahawks.
those are our 3 points,
Those are the
which is
three
our.
points.
I mean, what's our next segment? Husky basketball.
Yeah, we're gonna move into Husky basketball, specifically Husky men's basketball this time. The Husky women, shout out, they lost to LSU on a crazy buzzer beater. I don't know if you saw it, Kev, but they were beating LSU, the number 7 team in the country. They should have won. LSU had a basically like inches away from an over and back.
Yeah,
Girl saves it, loose ball, gets loose, and then one of their best players, their guard, I can't remember who, but she drives the lane, does like a double scoop layup that goes in, and LSU wins by 1. Part of the reason we're not talking about that in other games is women's basketball this week for Feast Week has been on Flow Sports, which is an internet subscribe only streaming option. And
yeah,
you know what, Flow Sports, I subscribe to everything else, and I love women's basketball, but I'm gonna wait for it to be on ESPN and
yeah,
ABC this week. So
yeah,
all these great games I didn't watch on Flow Sports. So Flow, you
yeah,
didn't get my money. Sorry.
yeah. Well, let's talk about the Washington Huskies. You watched some games. I watched
The
some games.
Washington men's Huskies. We were just
Washington
talking
men's
about that.
Huskies. Yeah.
Yes, I
Uh,
watched the last 2 games, including a victory over my Santa Clara Broncos.
by the way, the more successful Huskies, because the Connecticut Huskies went to
Mm,
Maui and went 0-3, and Dan Hurley after said
what a
he's
baby.
never playing in a
What a
multi-tournament.
baby. Oh my
Did you
God.
see that he has?
Such a
I was
baby.
like a loser, right?
Yeah.
Like if you
It's
want,
a
yeah,
total loser mentality. I'm disappointed. I like
yeah,
Dan Hurley. He's a crazy man, but
yeah.
that
That was
was lame.
lame.
That was lame.
Okay, I got some questions queued up for you about the Washington
Yep.
Huskies.
So I've actually watched now. I'm ready to talk about it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, my first question is what's your ceiling for this team?
Ooh.
And I think of like a successful like default successful college basketball season is like tournament and then if you're not shooting for the tournament, then like 20 wins and falling short of the tournament. And then anything short of that's a disappointment.
Okay. Your question totally confused me at the end there,
Yeah.
but the ceiling, I know what a ceiling is. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kev. I
Yeah.
have discussed sports before. Um, the ceiling is a tournament.
Okay.
Um, I don't know if that's probable, and I don't even think Danny Sprinkle thinks that. I think he sort of hates his team a little bit. Uh, but that's their ceiling
Yeah.
is a tournament. Yeah.
And what
Um,
makes you say that?
they have pieces to be good. Um, and I think Danny Sprinkle's a good coach. And I think they could be better defensively than maybe I thought they would be.
But it's so early in the season, right? Like
Yeah, I
yeah.
really can't wait for Pac-12 games, which we have this week.
Big Ten.
Sorry, Big Ten. I say Pac-12 because they're both men and women are opening with UCLA,
Yeah.
which are
Yeah.
both tough games.
Yeah.
UCLA women are ranked first in the country, so
Yeah.
awesome. Um, and then they go back to like non conference, and then they come back to Big Ten. But
Yeah.
I don't know, playing like the Michigans and the Illinois and Wisconsin's, like I have no idea how this team's going to fare against those teams.
Yeah.
But I kind of think they have some interesting pieces. So I would say ceiling is tournament,
Yeah.
like first round exit type tournament.
Which would be a success,
Oh
I
yeah.
think,
Oh yeah, totally.
for Danny Sprinkle, especially taking together like players that have never played together,
Yep.
just kind of stitching it together.
Again, I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
that's the ceiling if they play
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yep.
individual players, what do you think of Tyler Harris? He's the most intriguing player on this team,
Okay,
in my
I'm now
opinion.
with you on Tyler
You
Harris.
think
Like
he's an
Tyler
NBA
Harris,
prospect?
well, he is a prospect for sure. Like
Yeah.
his length and his shooting and his athleticism, like he's exactly a 3-and-D guy that people draft.
Yeah.
Um, I think Danny Sprinkle's good. It is weird that they don't feature Harris more.
Like make him
Like,
the dude.
well, he's the recipient of stuff, but Osobor is the offense.
Yeah.
That was my big takeaway is like, holy mother, like everything runs through that guy.
Yeah. And do you think that's a bad thing?
He's really good. He's a
Yeah.
really good passer. He's a willing passer, which helps. It's weird in college basketball. Like I was having this conversation about nobody posting anybody up, and the Huskies just want to clear out a side of the floor, give it to Osobor, and then like have him create.
Wait,
It's
isn't that what
weird.
Purdue did last year with the last 2 years with their dude though? Didn't they run it through the
No,
7
I
foot
mean they
guy?
run it through Zach Edey because he's
Yeah,
7'5", but he was on
yeah,
the low block. I feel like
yeah.
Osobor is like
High
getting the ball
post.
like 17 feet away,
Yeah,
high post or like wing area just inside the 3-point line. And then he's either backing a guy in for 5 seconds or he's diming somebody
yeah,
or he's in a
yeah,
pick and roll.
yeah,
I just feel like there's got to be some options for Harris,
yeah,
which kind of leads me to this point. So I went to Sun Valley, Idaho for the week. I didn't coach, obviously. And I watched so much college basketball. Like I watched an insane amount. It was on all the time. I watched so many games. And nobody runs plays. Like they said in the Oklahoma Louisville game, like it's like a souped up summer league. It's just five guys catching and driving at a guy, which
yeah,
is what my son's fifth grade AAU team does also. Like this is just
yeah,
the easiest thing to teach a guys you throw together, which kind of makes sense. The Huskies
yeah,
only had so many practices. All these guys, like how do you run an offense, I guess? I don't know. Um, but it's everywhere. Like, every game I'm watching, it's like this guy transferred from this school, this guy transferred from this school.
yeah,
And I'm sad a little bit as a coach and somebody who really likes kind of X's and O's. Like nobody's running cool sets. I mean, there are teams, but it's not the top 10 teams, right?
yeah,
Like Duke runs high ball picks to get Cooper flag the ball.
yeah,
Kansas just attacks closeouts and throws in the post to Hunter Dickinson. Like the
yeah,
Huskies go to Osobor and have him create.
yeah,
Versus like there's got to be some cool sets you can get Tyler Harris the ball. Is that his name? Tyler Harris?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know.
The Santa Clara game was interesting, so I was able to watch some of that, and I I don't know if if Danny Sprinkle can get away with just playing Osobor in the post, like if you
Yeah.
and Brandon Bach for 17 minutes, and then
Yeah.
everyone else is a guard. Like
Right.
you beat Santa Clara because I think Tilly probably got in foul trouble. If I'm like,
No, because Santa Clara freaking sucks, Kev. Okay, watching them, I was all excited they beat TCU,
yeah,
but they take the worst shots,
yeah, they
and
jack up
and
shots.
and they're
Yeah,
not uncommon in college basketball. That's
yeah,
what I mean about this. Nobody running sets to good shots. Like guys are
yeah.
just jacking shots
They
all
were
over the
10 for
place.
24 from three,
It
which is actually
drives
not that
me
bad.
crazy.
Yeah,
Um, which I think I want to remember this for March. I think mid majors who with teams of guys who've been around for a while are gonna go on runs in March because they're gonna have this chemistry. And maybe it'll change because by March you've played together so long, but I
did
don't
you
know.
see what St. Mary's did to USC?
Totally. And
Yeah,
Drake won a tournament, and
yeah,
people are talking about Drake now. Like
yeah,
St. Mary's even has transfers though. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
And Santa Clara, here's the crappy part about it, doesn't. Their whole team is the same bunch of dudes, and they just go out there like they're playing pickup between Swig and Levy out on the courts like I did in 1997 when I was hooping on the blacktop, baby. And they're missing as many shots as I did. It was
Uh,
bad.
well,
Anyway,
they play Fresno State's this Saturday, so I'm gonna go and I'll let them know.
give me
Uh,
one more UW question, then we'll move
one
on.
more UW question. Oh, I mean, what are you if you're Danny Sprinkle, going into practice after winning this tournament? What are you focusing on besides defense? Because I feel like you're gonna say defense. You're gonna say
Well,
defense.
I was going to say defense. You're
Yeah,
right. I do like coaching defense, but also they have these guards and they do have the ability, I think, to make life hard for other teams.
yeah,
And it would keep Osobor out of foul trouble if you can be a little bit more pressure, I feel like.
yeah,
And Big Ten basketball is not that different than Big Ten football. Like it's a very physical brand of basketball. And I feel like you could maybe like Illinois has been good because they get out and pressure in the last few years. Um, I don't know. I think there's a possibility for that. And then I'd be finding ways to get Tyler Harris the ball.
Yep.
I would get two sets in, two options, him in a pick and roll where he's popping. I don't know. There's this cool like Spain pick and roll where the Suns running a ton with Devin Booker. So basically, like, let's say Kevin Durant has the ball and Nurkic is setting a ball pick, right?
Yeah.
And he attacks off the right side. Booker then sets a back screen for Nurkic on the ball screen. So the screener gets another screen and then Booker pops. Suns run it all the time.
You could do that with
Um,
Osobor and
I would have Tyler
Allen.
Harris involved in that somehow,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
where he's popping off that, he's rolling Osobor and him. I mean, a lot of teams run it. It's not just the Phoenix Suns, so it's not like teams don't know how to defend it. But put your best dudes in ways to get the ball as much as possible.
Yep.
And I would figure out how to play. What's his name? What's the guy who's a 40% foul shooter who's super athletic? The guard. He starts.
Ooh. It's a
Fortnite. Fortnite.
court right. Louis
Yeah.
court right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fun, but I he can't
Little
shoot a
out of
free throw.
control. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a little out of, I don't know. I'd like to see a little bit more of some other guys. You know who was kind of good in the two games is Seattle Prep Zone Christian King. He had some
Oh
good
yeah.
moments. He had some good moments. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what their rotation is moving forward. What's going on with Frank Kepnong?
He's like he's like the who's the guy that's always out for the Huskies football team? He's like Zach Durfee.
Oh
Like
yeah,
yeah, just always injured, but really like the
yeah.
potential's there, but
Because
you
I'd like
know,
to see him over. No offense, but Breidenbach. Like,
Buck.
no thanks.
My guy was 3 for 5 though. My guy was 3 for 5 in 17 minutes. What was his plus and minus? His plus and minus was 11. Tyler Harris's in that Santa Clara game -4.
Oh, interesting. That's it.
Tyler Harris had a horrible game against
But he
him.
had like 27 points. He
No, against
was
Santa Clara, he was 1 for 7.
Tyler Harris.
Yeah, 5 points.
Oh wow.
He had a bad Santa
I
Clara
must be
game.
thinking of the game before.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was really good. Okay, well, there you go. Shows how much I watched.
Well, when I'm watching Buck, I can't get over the goggles, which, you know,
He's incredible. I remember when he came when he signed with Hopkins. I'm like, is this guy real? When
real.
I looked up his photo, I'm like, is he really a basketball player?
Yeah,
He was at Nebraska, I think, before that.
yeah,
Um, well, the way they run offense through Osobor leads us right into what you wanted to talk about the Huskies real quick.
yeah,
So they got a huge surprise signing.
yeah.
So we
Um,
talked last week, right, about
yeah,
recruits and 4 stars, and then they
yeah.
added a top 35 player in the country. Do you
Can
know his
we
name?
Yeah, yeah. His name is Niko
Something.
Bundalo.
Yep.
Yeah. Again. Here's the crazy thing about this. His final four, which he announced like maybe like a couple months ago,
Yep.
North Carolina, UConn, Ohio State, and Michigan State.
Yeah.
Those are basketball schools.
Yeah.
That's Dan Hurley. That's Tom Izzo.
Yep.
Those are blue bloods. And he didn't even visit UW.
It's so weird.
It's so
Did you read
weird.
the quotes? So this is my point. He
Yeah,
basically said, I'm attracted to the way they use Osobor and
yeah,
they run everything through him, which I hadn't really watched the Huskies before when I read that quote. Then I watched
yeah,
them and I'm like, I totally get what he's saying.
yeah.
Like, if they're going to give him the ball and let him just cook and like operate, of course he's going to want to go there. I watched some highlights. I think he's pretty good. I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
He's a real poor man's Cooper Flag. Like
Yeah,
Cooper Flag's gonna be the number one pick in the draft. So like
yeah,
when I say poor man's, I mean he's really, but his game is similar. Like the height,
yeah.
length, dunking, shooting, passing. Like he just has a skill set that like is
That's
a
not normal for 6'11" dude.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean he's gonna be an NBA prospect, but it just depends. Will he get beat up and
yeah.
how many pounds will he put on or whatever? But
Yeah, I did
it's a
some
huge get.
sleuthing. I did some
Yeah.
sleuthing. Like, so for the first thing I did was I saw this name a couple times. It's called Prolific Prep, and this is
Oh
the school
yeah.
he goes to. So same place where Diallo is coming from. Then I was
Hmm.
like, did they play together? No, they didn't play together. It looks like he just transferred over, but it's kind of a basketball academy type
It
of
sure
deal.
is.
So
Yes.
they're they go to school, which is nice. It's not a complete shell. It looks like
Sure.
they go to school.
Sure.
Who knows?
Hmm.
So there's something,
No comment.
yeah, there's something definitely going on there. I have no idea what's going on there.
It's been around for a while. It's been around
Yeah,
for at least,
like 10 years.
yeah, at least 10 years. There was a player at Prep who was rumored to be going there. And there's
Yeah.
been kids from Washington going because I think it's in San Francisco, if I remember right.
It's in Napa. It's in
Okay.
Napa. So, I mean, how much different is this than like IMG Academy in Florida where they
Not,
have these
it's not.
football
Yeah,
players, right? Yeah,
exactly.
it's
Yep.
like the same thing.
Yep.
The second thing that I'm thinking about is like Danny Sprinkle got like is it three 4-star recruits?
Yeah.
And like this dude, like there is a guy that is the rumors going around that there's this dude that just like loves Husky basketball that's kind of just shelling out shelling out the money for these NIL deals for these
Interesting.
kids.
Okay.
So whoever that
Spencer
mysterious,
Hawes.
well, Spencer Hawes, is it Blake Snell who was on the sideline of the UW Oregon game? Who knows? I
He just
don't
signed a
know.
new deal. Maybe,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe,
that was the bit.
maybe
I
that's
mean,
how maybe it was the same day. I think this guy announced. So
yeah.
I'm just throwing it out
Blake
there.
Snell was just like, all right, let's get another 4-star.
Yep.
Um, anyways, that's all I know about Niko Bundalo, but we'll see how he
Is
is. I'm excited.
I wanted to see if do the Huskies have so he's 31 in rivals overall.
Yeah.
And then I can't tell if any of the other
They
guys are
say
in the
he's the
top.
eighth highest ranked recruit. So we named them all last time, right? Like
Yep. Yep. In
Stewart,
Husky
Fultz,
history, you mean?
Webster, Haas, McDaniel, Scotty, and Roden.
Yep.
Yep.
That's so he's 31 overall in rivals. Muldrew, who we talked about last time, is 99, and Manda Quit is 63. So
So that's
that's
three
three
top
top
100.
100.
That's pretty
He's
good.
recruiting out here like the women's team. This is
Yeah.
incredible. Good for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's Thanksgiving week, Kev, and I talked about feast week with basketball, but
Yeah.
we're gonna do a couple Thanksgiving things to finish, even though it's December now, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
So the first thing is three things we're thankful for. So I'll go first. My first thing I'm thankful for in the Seattle sports landscape, we've already talked about it. I won't even do long, but Leonard Williams, my God, I may
Yeah.
have texted a friend of mine. How can I have Leonard Williams' baby? Number two, number two, Big Ten women's basketball.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the Huskies, even though like I'm excited for them. I believe they play 8 top 25 teams the rest of the year in that conference. And that does not include Indiana, who's often ranked, and there was somebody else who's often ranked. They start with UCLA, who's number one in the country. They play USC, who I think should be number one in the country. I mean, it's awesome. It's an awesome conference. It's gonna be super fun. I have hope because they played LSU so tough in their tournament, even though they lost that weird game to Montana. I think Big Ten women's basketball is gonna be great. And I got my Big Ten Plus subscription on Black Friday, $2.99 a month for the first 6 months. I was very excited. Um, I'm sad to say that you sent me a free offer earlier in the year and I
I
forgot to
know.
claim it. So I went to claim it. I was like, oh, here it is. Here's the email. It expired in September. So I had to sign up for
Oh,
$2.99
that
a month
is
for the first 6 months. That's okay. And then my third thing I'm thankful for is Climate Pledge Arena. It's
why?
well, it's my way of saying I really am happy we have a hockey team,
Yeah.
even though that hockey team is pissing me off a lot this last week because they are a mess. I'm happy that we have an arena where I'm going to go see John Legend in concert next weekend. He's doing a Christmas concert.
Ooh.
Got great sound. I've been to Kevin Hart there. That was exciting. And it's ready for the Sonics and it hosts the Storm and an NCAA tournament. Like we got a great arena. Sonics are coming. We got a hockey team. That's what I'm thankful for.
Yeah. Um, Here's what I'm thankful for. This sounds kind of lame, but the Big Ten Network. Just such a huge upgrade over Pac-12 network. Um, Everything from the commentators through like it's so easy to stream. The games aren't like hard to find, like bars will have it. It's just so
Yeah.
great.
It's a great call.
Um, Alabama losing games.
This is your number two.
This is my number two. I'm very thankful for it because I think the worst outcome would have been the Huskies doing what they've done this year, and then like DeBoer winning a national championship. I kind of like that he's like semi on the hot seat, which makes it doesn't make any logical sense that he'd be on the hot seat, but because it's
Yeah.
Alabama and they just never lose this many games, he's on the hot seat.
Yep.
So I love that.
I'll
And
take him
then
back right now.
yeah,
I know you wouldn't, but I'd take him back. All right,
uh
go ahead. Number three.
number three, getting sentimental here, but this podcast, man.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one.
Dude, we've ripped off a lot of episodes and we've been consistent.
It's the
So
halfway mark of the year. We're
yeah,
halfway through now. We've done half a year.
26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Half a
Yep.
year worth of podcasts.
It's amazing.
So that's what I'm thankful for.
That's good. All right, we're
Yeah.
going to finish up with the top five, special top five. It's very common on the internet, easy to find. We're going to do our own version. We're
Are
going to
we
draft. We're
drafting?
going to
We're
draft.
drafting.
So
Okay.
we each get a five. It's Thanksgiving foods.
Yeah, so it's
So
10 picks total.
10 picks total.
Got it.
Um, how should we determine who goes first?
Um,
Should we look at the fantasy football standings?
that's rude. You
All
can go first since you're first place.
right, perfect. Thank you.
He's 9-3, everyone.
Yep, and crushing it this week. All right, I'm taking stuffing number one overall.
Stuffing. Okay,
So let me just tell you, I
yeah,
have to give a shout out to my sister-in-law, Kaya, who I've never shouted
yeah,
out in this episode or this podcast before, but I will right now. She put sausage in the stuffing, and Kev, it changed my life.
yeah.
It was so good. I told her, I hugged her on Thanksgiving in the middle of my meal. I got up and hugged her. It was ridiculous. It was so good.
You were stuffed with stuffing.
It was not. It's
Just, yeah,
number one overall. No offense to my mom or anyone else
yeah,
who has made
yeah,
stuffing before, but this one was
yeah.
number one. So number one stuffing. Go.
Okay. Mashed potatoes with gravy.
Mm.
It's just a classic for me. I don't even care how it's made. It could be homemade, it can be out of the package. But this may just be me as a person of color, but like
Mm.
I ate a lot of rice growing up and
Hmm.
not a lot of potatoes. So I get so excited to go to like my friend's house where they'd have like pasta or like mashed potatoes, and I just indulge myself in as many mashed potatoes and gravy, and it never feels good, but it's number one.
Was this like Jeff's house?
Jeff's house, Dominic's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Kev, I appreciate you sharing that. That was good. That was good. I like that. Yeah, not a lot of rice on Thanksgiving, huh?
No, not a lot.
Although I would tell you this, Kev. I don't know if you know this about me.
Yeah.
This is gonna get weird, but I'm gonna share it anyway. So my step grandmother on my mom's side is Asian, has Asian
No
family.
way.
Yeah, I never told you this before. So it's not blood related for me,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
through marriage, and we would have Thanksgiving there a lot.
Yeah.
And we would actually have like all kinds of rice dishes and sushi and like
Oh,
the Thanksgiving there was a awesome spread. It was a
yeah.
huge family. It was very good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you ever have like sushi or anything on Thanksgiving growing up?
You know, I've definitely done like the Chinese food on Christmas
Mm,
thing.
that's solid. Yeah.
But yeah, because here's the cheat code. If you want to know what's open on Christmas and don't want to make your own food, Chinese restaurants are
Yeah.
usually open on Christmas.
Yeah.
But
You know what's
Thanksgiving, yeah, yeah.
sorry. I was
Go
just gonna
ahead.
say Christmas like kind of gets overlooked for a meal, right? Thanksgiving's a big deal, but like Christmas, I don't know. Does anyone talk about their favorite Christmas foods? Not really.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover though with Thanksgiving.
I feel like it goes ham on Christmas a lot instead of turkey. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is it my pick? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's your
Second
pick.
pick. My wife makes this, so shout out to my wife Dana. Sweet potatoes with marshmallows roasted on top.
Oh, that was gonna be my next
It's
pick.
so good. It's so good. And she makes it, I think she would tell you it's not hard for her, but it's like
Yeah,
she does it perfectly. She roasts
yeah,
them perfectly, and it's so good. It's
yeah,
it's great. So it's my number two.
yeah. It's amazing that I'm picking the star player with the fourth overall pick,
Oh,
turkey.
oh,
Like,
that's a little early for
yeah,
turkey, I feel like.
dark meat turkey, man. Come on.
Here's
We
the
gave,
thing.
yeah,
Turkey can get, this is no offense to anyone who's made
yeah,
turkey before. Our turkey this year was really, really, really good. It can get dry,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So for me, like turkey alone, but you throw turkey together with your mashed potatoes that you already have,
Ooh.
and you put that on a roll, and we're cooking with fire right now.
Shout
Gasoline.
out to my brother-in-law whose smoker went kaput while
Oh,
the turkey was in there. So he quickly readjusted plans, turned on the oven to keep everything
yeah.
food safety. And the turkey was cooked way earlier than it should have been,
Mm.
but it tasted great.
Oh, good.
And JJ's first meat in his entire life were three pieces of turkey.
Oh, that's
Turkey
awesome.
meat. So that was the
Nice.
highlight of my week, and that is my fourth overall pick.
Well, it's your second pick, fourth overall.
Second
Yeah.
pick, fourth overall.
All right, I'm coming in hot with pumpkin pie.
Ooh.
I love pumpkin pie.
Do you
I
put
think
whipped
it.
cream on it?
Oh yeah, you got to. You got to. I actually got a. I said something about ice cream, and my wife's
Yeah.
like, "You can't put ice cream." I'm like, "You're right. It's got to be whipped cream." I went a mistake this year. I double pied, and the double pie was too much, and it was mixing flavors, and I really should have just gone with
What
pumpkin.
was the second pie?
The other one was apple pie, and my
Yeah.
nephew made it, and it was very good. He did a great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Um, but I shouldn't have double pied because then I had ice cream with the apple pie and whipped cream with
Yeah.
the pumpkin on the same plate, and it's mixing, and like
Yeah.
I don't want that mixed. I want a
Yeah.
pumpkin. So now I feel like I need to go buy a pumpkin pie.
Yeah. You know where you should buy it. Christine is a huge fan
Hmm.
of the Costco pumpkin pie.
Oh, really?
Yes, and here's the thing. In California, they don't have like California only has like the organic version, which is
Hmm.
like $10, but like you can get like the $5 one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go.
up in
The
up in
original
Seattle.
Costco on Fourth
Yeah.
Avenue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now this will
yeah.
be great because I'll try it and then I can tell Christine that I was excited for it and then I don't like it, just like she did with my Seahawks takeaways or preview or whatever it was. All right. Your
Uh,
pick. Third pick
Pumpkin
for
pie.
you.
Damn, what do I pick if you pick pumpkin pie and yams, the best orange foods? Green bean casserole.
Whoa. Early.
Yeah. Green
Early for green bean casserole.
green bean casserole with like the cream of mushroom action, and it just complements the mashed potatoes, my number one overall pick or my number
I
two
mean, yeah,
overall
you got
pick.
a nice
Yeah.
meal going on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
All
got
I
the
have are
classics.
sides right now, so that's all I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
Um, I'm coming in with I'm describing this as a good mac and cheese.
Yeah.
So not one that I can make, but like one that somebody else can make who makes good mac and cheese. That's it's baked on top. It's got some flavor in it. It's a mac and cheese I'm gonna have to get at somebody else's house. I'm probably
Yeah.
not getting it, to be honest. Probably not getting it at any Elsner's house,
Yeah.
but somebody else having a good mac and cheese.
Here's the thing about mac and cheese is like you're never gonna not put at least a little bit on your
Yeah, yeah.
plate, but it's always too much. You're like, damn, I
Yeah.
got mashed potatoes, I got stuffing in them. Why not? Let's just add.
That's a
Yeah.
really good call. But I don't have any turkey, so I'm just loading up on sides. So
Um, God. So this is I have two more picks
yeah,
left, and I don't have dessert yet.
no. You
Um,
can go a lot of ways with dessert because,
Yeah. Yeah.
you could claim a lot of different pies.
Yeah. I actually had really good pumpkin mochi.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm gonna shout out to my mother who made it. Mochi's hit the mainstream maybe like the past 10 years. I've had
Yep.
mochi my entire life. And I swear, I think and everyone says this, but I think my mom's mochi, like, I could follow the same directions as her, but like, she makes it so good. And I really think it's just trial and error and
Yeah.
not just following the recipe religiously. But yeah, my mom's pumpkin, we brought some back home, back to San Jose with us. It was really good.
You brought mochi back on an airplane?
Hell yeah. But
How?
done it all the time. Just wrap it up in foil and yeah.
Doesn't it melt? Isn't it frozen?
No, 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 no. No, not all mochi's frozen. Oh man, I gotta make you some.
Yeah.
I should ship you
No,
some.
I don't want you to make it. I want Bev to make it. What are you talking about? You just told me it was amazing.
Yeah, no, no, no. Mochi doesn't have to be. I'm assuming you've had mochi ice cream, right?
Most almost that's
Yeah, yeah,
most of my
yeah,
mochi experience,
yeah.
yes.
Oh yeah, you got to get some of like the baked mochi. It's like
Oh
a type
wow.
of flour that. Yeah, yeah. It's great.
Oh wow, you're changing my life here.
Yeah,
I was gonna critique you for picking something that wouldn't typically be on a list, but
yeah.
you just said two things.
And
One, it's
pumpkin.
homemade.
Yeah,
It's pumpkin. Yeah,
yeah.
that's the second one. And then the third is that your mom's been making it for a long time.
Yep.
So it
It's good.
counts. Um, as I go to my next and I think my final pick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Because you
distracted
had first one.
by your Hooters water glass that you're drinking out of today, Kev. All right, my last pick. Uh I have a couple things on. I'm gonna go canned cranberry sauce.
Oh, that is like the worst pick ever.
It's you know what? It's hit or miss. Like the
Yeah,
people who are with me are with me. Like the
yeah,
ride or dies for the canned cranberry sauce that comes out of the can. It's just one big log jelly thing.
yeah,
They come off in slices. Yeah, like people who are with me, they ride with me. But people who hate
yeah,
it, like you apparently, are gonna think it's a stupid pick. So you got one
yeah,
more.
yeah. This isn't traditionally Thanksgiving, but this is gonna round out my meal. I went to Safeway and got a 6 pack of the Release the Stash IPA, the Kraken Stash
Oh yeah.
IPA, and it was really good. And
Wait,
IPAs,
this is such a cheat. What are you talking about? This is not a Thanksgiving
I
dish.
just made it a Thanksgiving dish. I'm rounding out my meal with a nice, a warm, like IPAs are perfect in the wintertime.
Warm?
No, 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 no. It like IPAs are just, I enjoy them more in the wintertime than in the summer, right? Because in the
Yeah,
summer you're like light beer. Like
I get it.
IPAs, like it's darker. You want a little more of a buzz, that sort of thing. So,
Wow, your Thanksgiving, you need a little buzz. I'm gonna have Bev listen to this and say the only way you can get through
yeah,
your family Thanksgiving is
is
a
a
little
Kraken
buzz
Stash
from a
IPA.
Kraken Stash
Stash
IPA.
IPA. Have you had it?
I have. I've had it at
Yeah.
Climate Pledge, which I referenced earlier, is one of the
Yeah.
things I'm
What do you
thankful
think?
for.
What do you think?
I think it's solid. Like it's
Yeah.
not my favorite IPA, but it's solid. I
Yeah.
get it usually when I'm there for some reason. Um,
There's something about like just like the can, you know? I don't know. I'm a sucker. Like I get the Montlake Lake beer all the time now.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah, you
sucker
totally
for
cheated on your last two picks, but that's okay. It's Thanksgiving, and I'm still thankful for you, Kev. So,
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Likewise.
all right. Well, we did it. Episode
Yeah,
26.
episode 26, and we'll be back next week with what's going on. Signing day is on December 4th. Husky football.
Well, that'll be a big one. We could talk about
Yeah.
signing day. Hopefully, the Kraken are not giving up 8 goals a game this week as they head to the road.
Yeah. And winter
Um,
meetings for the
and
Mariners.
we'll see. With the winter meetings come up, we'll see if we can get a guest to talk
Yeah.
a little Mariners baseball.
Yep.
Which everybody loves on this podcast when we talk about Mariners baseball. It's their favorite.
And who do the
And
Seahawks play again?
it's a
Arizona.
big one, Arizona on the road.
Yeah,
So we'll have
got it.
that to talk about, and then we'll maybe a little Husky basketball. There's plenty to do,
Yeah.
plenty to
Yep.
talk about.
All
Seattle
right.
sports.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.